Let me go on with the powers. So I believe, honestly believe that I didn't exceed the powers of the minister in writing those directives, nor did I exceed the powers of the Constitution and even the Act, the SAPS Act. Now, the issue of the time, I'm just taking leisure to deal with. I attached immediately. Now, the directive would still have been the directive even without immediately, but I added immediately because, as I indicate, I wanted to send a message to be understood that I would want the National Commissioner to have this in mind, but it was not like in a drill. You know, in a drill, you say left, and the person you are commanding must really lift the left leg, as and when you say on time. Left, you say right, they must take right up. You shout another instruction. You turn left, they do this. Turn right, they do so. Aim, you aim, all of you. It's an instruction that. But the context of these instructions that come from a minister and these ones that came from are not the same as those in a drill. And it's always like that. Not in the form of a drill. It wouldn't mean that when the National Commissioner receives the directive, he has to do this on the spot. That is why I gave a window. It was deliberate. Go and write an interim report. An interim report. I didn't say immediately and within 1 hour. Write an interim report. It didn't. It says on the 20th.
Okay, Minister. They are honorable members that are raising hand. I wanted you to explain that part so that your chain of thought is not disrupted. That is why I kept them waiting for some time. Honorable Nomvalo, Honorable Skosana.
Yeah, Chair. No, we wanted to be reminded of a question to which the minister is responding, because it must not appear as though he's addressing us. The evidence leader has been quiet for quite some time, and the minister has addressed various aspects of his evidence. He has addressed the reasons, he has addressed the constitutionality of his reasons, and the evidence leader has just kept quiet. So as he continues to ask the minister, we are following also. That is why we also peruse the documents. So he shouldn't address for a very long time without getting proper guidance in terms of the questions that must be posed to him. So which question is the minister answering?
Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. I was raising that as well to say, you know, it's unfortunate that the minister indeed is addressing us, and not the question which the evidence leader was asking. But indeed, it's been now almost 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And I'm not sure whether this is how this witness is going to present to us, because the evidence leader so far has been quiet. It might go up to an hour if we are not careful, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Malema.
Chair, I see nothing wrong with what the minister is doing. He has been asked the question, and before we went for comfort break, minister said something that has been haunting him from the 6th of July. All we can do is to listen to him. It's our job to listen. And at an appropriate moment, when it's done, the evidence leaders will ask those questions if they have them. A minister must be considerate of the fact that there is not unlimited time, but it can't be us who are going to stop a minister who wants to share as much as he can with us. And we're going to have an opportunity to ask questions and direct him to where he wants to go. But to stop him as if he has done something wrong, especially after he pleaded with you before when he thought we were breaking, that he's got issues, he has been sitting with them, and this is an opportunity for him to ventilate those issues. So I think we're all in order here. If people are sleeping, it's not our problem.
Honorable members, let me do this. I'm noting your hands. May I allow the minister to finish presenting the reasons that he said he wanted? These are the reasons behind the decisions that he has taken. So if you have any question for clarity, you can raise a hand and be clarified on whatever he's saying. But he requested, even before we took comfort break, that I want to be given time to conclude. And I remember it was me who even asked him, how much time do you need? And when we came back from break, I checked with the senior counsel, and the signal that I got from him was that let's allow the minister to make a presentation. Honorable Nomvalo and Honorable Ngola, Chief Whip. Yes.
No, Chair.
No, I can see your hands are.
We're actually not going to enter.
Are persistent.
We will not go.
I can't ignore you.
Yes. We're not going to enter the realm of labeling people, accusing them of sleeping and so on.
Let's focus.
What we are raising here, yes, I'm focusing there, Chair. What we are raising here, Chair, is that we're not stopping the minister. We want to follow him.
Yeah.
But we're not only following him. We are following questions and answers that are given to questions. The minister has addressed various aspects. Now, we want to be reminded, and it's our right as members of this committee. No one has dominance and monopoly of speaking here. We're going to speak as members of this committee, whether people like it or not. Now, what we want guidance on is a question to which the minister is responding, because he has given different dimensions. And we have even forgotten the question that was asked from him, because we're also following, Chair. We want to also make a determination of whether the minister is responding correctly to questions or not. So let's not be bullied here, please. Honorable Ngola.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, you'll recall that when we came back from the break, the issue at hand that was placed before the minister by the evidence leaders was the issue relating to the power dynamics, power relations, between who has more power between the National Commissioner and the Minister for a dissolution. The minister is on record saying, let me take the ad hoc committee through the constitutionality of my decision. And he has went to section 206 of the Constitution, went to section 207 of the Constitution. So he's addressing that currently. I think we're still on track in terms of what the evidence leader has asked and what the minister is addressing. Thank you very much, Chair.
Chief Whip.
No, Chair, I'm largely covered by what Honorable Ngola is saying, but I think we should distinguish between the intervention of Honorable Nomvalo from the one of Honorable Skhosana. I think Honorable Nomvalo is making a plea that should have been handled without really opening a long conversation, because all is inquiring about which questions was the minister dealing with, and even you, Chair, you could have intervened to say, no, he's dealing with this and the matter is closed. The problem
is the intervention by Honorable Skosan, in which he is then arguing that the time span given to the minister is equivalent to an address. And so the intervention by Honorable Malema arises from that problem. Actually, the first question, I thought there was nothing untoward about the question. The problem was the intervention to suggest that the length of the response is equivalent to an address. So that's what I wanted to say, Chair. Thanks.
Honorable Malema.
No, Chair, as long as you press a mic here and speak, we are going to respond to you. And don't say we. If you've got a concentration problem, it's not a collective problem. Don't make it our problem. So you are not going to say, no one is going to dominate us here, thinking you're going to speak things we won't respond to. We are going to respond to. If you are challenged and the mind is feeling pain now, it's none of our problem. If your party send people with weak minds and concentration span, it's the party's problem. It's not our problem. Listen, the minister's talking now.
No, let me rule you out.
No, Chair, no, let's address that behavior.
No,
Let's address that behavior.
I'm ruling.
No, let's address that hooliganism. Let's address that hooliganism.
I'm ruling the statement.
No, let's address that hooliganism, Chair.
Yeah, but
let's address that hooliganism.
Let me speak.
Let's address that hooliganism.
Yeah.
We're not scared of the man.
Yeah,
we can address him.
Honorable number.
If we are scared of him, we're not scared of him.
Honorable number.
Let's address him.
Honorable number. There is no way I will not allow you to speak. I'm ruling that statement out of order. It's what I'm saying. It does not belong here. It's unfortunate that it has to be made, and I'm ruling it out. So now I give you a chance to speak.
I withdraw, Chair.
You have made a progressive ruling, Chair. Thank you very much. That's why we have confidence in you.
So, relax, Minister. No. Wait. Honorable members, can I check if there is still anyone amongst you who wants to say something? Okay. The people who are operating the cameras of Parliament, because when we ask the minister questions, he may take some time to respond. In our meetings, what we normally do, we rotate speakers. So if you can also rotate the camera so that it does not always focus on the minister, I think it's...
Are you saying, Chair, the minister will
It will help us because, when we go for a long time without members being rotated on the camera, I'm just saying that the camera must also have a fair coverage of the members so that they don't become impatient. And Minister, we are back from the ad break.
No, Chair, I think I thought the intervention made by Honorable Mtumseni, politely so, with a high level of maturity, is going to assist us. The intention was to get which question is the minister responding to for the purposes of our records. Nothing else. If you can remind, you can do it by yourself, Chair.
No, that point is covered. Everybody agrees with it.
And then which question, if you can remind us a question to which what he is responding.
So you want the senior counsel to restate the question. I thought that what the honorable members, the three of them, Honorable Ngola, Honorable Malema, and Honorable Ntuli, have sufficiently explained the question that the minister was addressing. In fact, you were right when you asked because you wanted to have a proper understanding of what the minister was doing. And I think the honorable members have assisted to bring you on board. And so let's allow the minister to continue presenting the reasons that he wants us to understand, from the logic behind the decision that he has taken. Is that proper, Minister? I want to apologize if your chain of thought would have been distracted.
No, I'm fine. That's proper.
Thank you so much.
Chair, in case anyone needs help, I'm here.
But you are advertising that brand. Can we continue?
Thank you very much, Chair. It's my belief and my submission that
my benevolence is infectious.
that the National Political Task Team was not established by the National Commissioner. It's my belief, and I've done the best that I could to think through, and I'm convinced that there's no National Commissioner who, after the matter of Mr. Mkhunu, went to establish the task team. It was the president who went there. And it was executive or political intervention. And then he gave birth to something that was not there, the IMC. When they meet, they then say there must be this further mechanism called, of course, with the then National Commission and other officers. But the directive came from a political setup via the intervention, and the human beings that are there were the executive, several ministers at the instance of the president. So they then say, do 1, 2, 3. And then it gets done and so on. It was not, for instance, 702, the minister using his powers in the office, which are there to say, let me establish this. When those who were acting to craft this, when they were doing it at the instance of political intervention. They were doing it, and there's nothing bad about that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It was necessary, and it happened. So I contest very honestly but strongly a view that says that we have the National Political Killings Task Team because General Stoll at that time went to think hard about it and he came up with the idea. He only facilitated it after he was directed to do that. He was directed through a political intervention. Now, if a political intervention can establish a task team, why can't the same political intervention be allowed when it comes to disestablishing the political killings task team? It can, because you can't on one hand create something and then you are told you can't. The president appoints a minister, for instance, with due to powers given to him. When he wants to disappoint you, he can't be told by somebody you needed to have consulted the fellow and so on. He disappoints you. He just makes a statement, you are no longer a minister. And in some cases, at some point, you just have a press briefing elsewhere without even telling the fellow. And then the fellow will see how I'm not, there's a new one. So that which was born through political intervention can be unborn, can be disestablished via. It's one thing to disagree, but that disagreement must not, people can always refer because it's an argument, but I believe that I didn't act outside the Constitution and outside legislation for the reasons that I've given. And that at the center of it, it was not the National Commissioner who established this. He was directed to do it by a political intervention emanating from the president. And this is what I believe actually happened. Let me go on. And I believe that the decision to disband the PKT, as I've said, was for lawful reasons. It was not for unlawful reasons. Not at all. Well, I know that when General Mkhonazi made a statement, among other things, the accusation was that I disbanded this because I wanted to protect criminal syndicates. I want criminal syndicates. I want them. But not that I wanted to protect them. And I will say how I have demonstrated in the past that I want them. So it was for lawful reasons, not for unlawful reasons. And it didn't come from anyone else. It came from me as Minister of Police. And I have capacity to think to that level in my role. I may be wrong, I may be right, but the decision was not for unlawful reasons. As a matter of fact, I have nothing to do with criminal syndicates myself. I've never had anything to do with them in my life. Not once. And not Amber. Not Amber. It has never happened. And it will never happen. It will never happen. Well, accusation is another when I'm accused, but I know I'm being investigated. But I know that at the same time, statements have been made in this comment that I'm no criminal. General Mkhonazi knows in his conscience that I'm not a criminal, that I have nothing to do with criminal syndicates. He knows. Now, let me go on. So it was not for criminal reasons. Now, I may as well add the crimes that are being associated or lined up with the decision. Those activities on those alleged criminals took place long before General Mkhonazi deployed 10 people there for whatever reason. These people were investigated and so on, and whatever happened, because the 10 members did not start from scratch on those Gauteng cases. They didn't. They were already being investigated. So it would mean police in Gauteng must then say, I intervened because they were investigating. How so? And as a matter of fact, I didn't know that on the 6th there was whatever when I took the decision on the, because even if General Masimula comes to you and say, I'm going to, we are investigating so and so, you don't memorize that and say, yeah, he's pursuing so and so. You don't. You just say thank you. But in 2 hours, in a day or two, you may forget that he told you that he was pursuing. That is why, even following the arrest of Mlife, for whatever reason, National Commissioner told me, actually, that it is something that has to do with Mlife, who is a member of parliament. That is the briefing that, so when, after the arrest, and I didn't see the arrested person linked with the member of parliament, I phoned National Commission to say,
Minister, did you say Molefe, who is a member of parliament?
I happen to know that there's an honorable member called Brian Mlefe. And that is what that is what National Commissioner indicated to me, as a matter of fact. But after the arrest, when I didn't see a Brian from news, I phoned National Commissioner and I said, you seem to have, is it? And then he said, no, it's a relative of. So I now say, why do I stand accused for somebody who was not even the person who was supposed in the arrest? It went to somebody else. Why? How did I know Brian Mlefe? And that he is, it was the first time when I saw his arrest that he's there and so on. So let me leave that subject. Then we go to another.
Sorry, Minister. Honourable Chair, can I just check with the Minister whether he's now been through discussed all his reasons and the legality / constitutionality of his directive, so that we can be confined to that topic, because that's what the Minister requested. He wants full opportunity to speak to the nation and to give his side of the stories. So just in case, because I've obviously got a number of questions relating to your reasons, and would like to ask you those questions. But
I'm on the last one.
Yeah, okay.
In my submission is 29. General Masimula stated under oath in his application proceedings between SAPS and Lieutenant General Sibia, and I quote what he said under oath: accepted that the directive, that is of the minister, fell within the oversight powers of the minister. It's not me saying that. It's a statement of the National Commissioner under oath. But I held the view as National Commissioner that his insistence on how and when the task team be deactivated or reached into constitutional mandate as the National Commissioner of Police to manage and supervise. That is what National Commissioner is saying. So on the constitutionality, he himself is clear. He accepts, and I'm quoting, I'm not writing it myself. And here's the problem with the how part, and the how part I would contest. I never gave him directives inclusive of the how part. I merely indicated immediately, meaning that the decision is immediate that I've taken, but I understand implementation via the interim. I even said there would be another meeting, the MINESCO, at some other point, meaning I was envisaging that there would be meetings, there would be discussions. And I wanted those discussions myself because of the belief I held, even at that time, that there is something wrong with the existence. It has nothing to do with good performance or what, but in the current situation where you have reviewed the organogram, you have done this and this, and you are thinking about the resources, thinking very hard about resources, you need to design things differently and so on. So General Masimula, there he is under oath, accepts that the minister has oversight. In the paragraph of his answering affidavit, General Masimula seems to accept, therefore, my powers, not me personal, minister, to issue the directive. His reservation, it would seem, was about how and when the directive had to be implemented, which I have no problem with because the how part was never in the directive. It was just this word, immediate, which he understood differently from what I understood. And I've given reasons that I didn't use immediate in the context of a drill. I didn't. It's in the context of minister having taken a decision to indicate clearly, and then he moves on. Now, I want then to revert to the to evidence leader as per what you have just said, Chair, for now. Not that I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senior Counsel. You may proceed.
Thank you. Minister, thank you. I trust that you took full opportunity of conveying your own side of the story and giving your reasons and so on. Can we accept that while you were minister, before you were put on leave, that the political task team is still in existence and still operates in the way they have since 2018?
Well, as you say, I'm on leave, so I can't talk on behalf of what is happening or on what is happening.
But you also happen to be a citizen. You watch the news, you read the papers. The task team is still in existence. You know that, whether you're on leave or not.
No, I would repeat that I'm on leave. So I can't really say this is what is happening, this is what is not happening. There is a minister there who is acting, who has authority to do so. And we can't talk, both of us, on what is happening in SAPS while I'm on leave. It won't be proper.
Yes, but you were the minister when the submission was made that the task team's life be extended, and there was a decision by the National Commissioner that it be extended, and that it was funded, and we've seen the amount. It was part of your evidence. The National Commissioner approved an amount of 20 million. Whereas General Sabia had also requested funding for a disbanded task team where these tasks and these dockets would now be reallocated, for example, to murder and robbery, and that motivation was rejected. Are you not aware of that?
No, I'm aware of that information, but the question was, are you aware that they're operating? And I'm saying I can't commit on that. But what evidence leader is saying, it's here. I'm aware of it.
Well, I thought it was a pretty straightforward question. It's not a trick question. Whether you know that the task team is still in operation.
And I'm saying to the evidence leader, that question should be directed to the acting minister for authority and precision.
Okay, and what if I tell you it is still in operation?
Pardon?
What if I tell you it is still in operation?
I will take note. But it won't be said by me. It will be said by evidence.
Okay, what is your reaction to them still being in operation? You just take note. You're not disappointed or anything?
No, this happened in the context of work, not in the context of my personal enjoyment or personal. Let me just divert a bit and talk about border management. I happened to meet a colleague and I said, hey, at the airport, and I say, hey, how far are you on border management issues after the agreement was reached in Cape Town on the matter? He said, no, we have not moved. And then I kept quiet. I couldn't speak on behalf of the Minister of Police. But what had happened? We had resolved a problem that had been in existence for a long time, since 2018, in terms of defining the roles of PMA on one hand, of subs on the other, such that those roles get operationalized. That is where we were when I went on. But what is happening today, I can't say.
Okay.
Has that been operationalized the same as this one?
I'm asking, Minister, in the context of you giving a directive. The directive is at EB4 on page 49 and 50
Yes.
of Exhibit Bundle 3. In that context, I'm asking you where you have said this task team must be disestablished immediately. This is on the 31st of December 2024, and the task team has not been disestablished.
And so what's your
Not only not immediately, it hasn't been disestablished. And you want to tell me you're not aware of that?
And so what's your question?
The question was whether you're aware that the task, or rather put another way, I told you, do you know that the task team is still in existence? Or put another way, it hasn't been disestablished. And what is your reaction to that? Given that you had given a perfectly, according to you, lawful and constitutional directive that it must be disestablished.
No, I'll go back to my answer and I'll insist on it because evidence leader, you ask a question and I respond, but when you say I must choose between yes or no, it will be difficult for me because that's my terrain now to respond. And I respond in a manner that I believe in. So my response is this one, that I can't speak authoritatively and properly and precisely on whether the political killings task team is functional at the moment or not.
If you were returned into your position, reinstated or whatever the word or term is, if you were reappointed tomorrow as Minister of Police, you'll find that the task team is still in operation. You'll find Mkwenazi is still leading the team. You'll find Kumalo is still the project leader of the team. What are you going to do about it?
The reason why we're here is exactly to deal with that. I don't know how you are going to decide on it. The reason there is a commission is precisely to deal with those questions. I don't have the outcome. And therefore, I want rather to wait until the ad hoc committee has done their work and made their determination in terms of recommendations, as I understand, in terms of the terms of reference to the National Assembly on the subject. Similarly, I would wait until the Madlanga Commission completes its work and wait for the outcome. Now, whether the national political killings task team will be there or not, I don't want to worry myself about that at this particular stage. For now, I want to worry about responding to your questions.
Yes, I'm also worried that I'm not getting a response to my question. Are you waiting for this honorable ad hoc committee and Parliament to make a decision?
Yeah, I'm saying to the best of my ability, I haven't put myself beyond these processes in whatever manner, and I want to refrain from that.
Let's look at your. Does it or would it concern you that Brown Mkhotsi, whom I think you said you do know him.
What did I say?
Brown Mkhotsi.
What did I say?
I said, you must correct me that you do know him or you know of him, Brown Mkhotsi. You're nodding yes?
Yes, I know him.
Yes, you know. Now,
yes, I know him.
Now, my question is, would it bother you that you You issued your directive, it appears at 5:20 on the 31st of December 2024. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Because that we picked up from, I think, the affidavit of Masimola. So would it concern or bother you that at 10:38, Mogotsi sends a WhatsApp to Kat Matlala indicating, and I quote from the WhatsApp, the task team that came to your house and arrested you has been dissolved / disbanded, !
10:30 on the same day.
On the same day. On January 1st, Mogotsi informed Matlala.
On January the 1st. Okay.
That he would be meeting with you and Lieutenant General Sabia. He says in the text message, "Good day, I've arranged a meeting for Sabia and the minister. Must have a solution."
There are two questions there. The first one is, would it concern me that Mogotsi seems
Yeah,
to...
shortly after you,
yes.
should.
It would concern me.
It would.
It would concern me because I wouldn't know how that happened. But not only when my letter found its way into his hands on the date and time, it would have concerned me if my letter found its way into any other person's hand. I would similarly worry how it happened. And therefore the answer is straight. It would worry me. I would be very much concerned. Now, about this meeting, which is my second response, that he would arrange a meeting. It is him, apparently, who talks about that, not me. I never, and I want to repeat, I never spoke to Brown Mogotsi in this period, particularly about the disbandment. How he got to know, how he got access to the letter, it is better explained by him. And that will be the only time that I would get to know how it happened. But about this meeting, there was no such meeting on my side. It was never communicated to me. I would know what the meeting would have been about. I never spoke to Sbia about this meeting, that there was a meeting that was imminent between me and him, that I had sent somebody, and nobody ever raised the issue of a meeting between me and Sbia after the letter of directives.
Did this letter only go to General Masimola? Did you send the letter, by the way, to General Masimola, or did you ask Kabindi to send it to Chief of Staff?
After leaks to, outside ourselves, I spoke to Chief of Staff. Where did you send the letter yourself? And he told me he sent the letter to General Masimula, to General Mosikiti, which I had directed him to do. But he, if I remember well, he also sent to PAs of the generals. I can't remember whether he also included General Sbia on that. He can clarify the matter himself. But what I underlined, I had said, send it to General Masimula, send it to General Mosikiti, because she's the one who is in the office. But it appears that he also sent to their PAs.
We know that General Masemola wouldn't have leaked the letter.
That?
We know that General Masemola wouldn't have leaked the letter to Mogotsi because he only heard about it through the media. I think on the 2nd of January.
In order to come to the bottom of this, it will have to be Mkhotsi himself to explain how he got hold of this, what he meant by this meeting and so on. But on my part, I wasn't expecting that he would get hold of my letter unless it had gone maybe to social media or leaked to social media, as it seems to have been the case. But it is him who must explain how he got hold. But it concerns me, and there was never any meeting that took place in any case as along those lines that you're talking about.
I'm not dealing with a meeting now, Minister.
Yes.
I'm dealing with the fact. It appears to be a fact that Mkhotsi got hold of the letter and conveyed that to Matlala. So it wasn't you who sent it to him. It wasn't General Masemola. It could only have been either Nkabindi or one of the PAs or secretaries to one of the other generals that he copied the letter to.
Well, I really want to confine me not to any speculation, but if indeed Matlala received this letter from Mkhotsi, it would mean it happened that way. And that concerns me as well, what it was sent for, because it was never meant for Matlala or any other person that he may have sent the letter to.
In fact, it was only meant for Masemola. It wasn't even meant for Nkabinde.
It was meant for Masemola, General Masemola, and General Mosikiti, in terms of my instruction.
That doesn't appear from the directive, Musikili. But you say your instructions.
Verbally, I told him send it because I knew that General Masemola is is going on leave, and he has appointed General Mosikiti to be in the office. So send the letter to General Mosikiti so that she is aware of this decision.
Now, I think most people, most reasonable people would find it quite odd and curious, almost bizarre, that you send a letter of this importance on New Year's Eve,
yes,
at 5:20, and address it to a national commissioner you know is on leave. He's taken a break until the 14th of January. I think you know that. And he's not even in his office. There's an acting national commissioner in the office. And your instructions in the letter, or as you want to frame it, your directive is that this team be disestablished immediately. Clearly, physically, he can't do it because he's not in his office. He's on leave. So I want to put it to you that the issuing of this directive on New Year's Eve to a national commissioner who's on leave, it doesn't make sense. It's totally bizarre. And unless you can give us some other reason why you would have done so.
Yes. One, on the 31st of December for police, it's a working day. They work on the 31st. There's no law.
Masemola's not working. He's on leave.
Yes, he was on leave.
Yeah.
That is why the instruction said, send it to him. He is on leave. Send it to General Mosikiti, who is in office. That's not an offense. That's not breach of any law, because I wanted him to be aware. I was aware that he was on leave. And as far as I'm concerned, as a second reason, I sincerely and seriously wanted a situation where when we go back to work in January, we have a sense of 3 issues that have been lifted from the maze of other issues for attention, including the workshop that was spoken about and so on. I wanted us to find a way to focus on these 3 issues because I wanted a sense of achievement, something concrete that I could show to the Republic that, look, we have activated police properly and increased efficiencies on border management. 2, we want to make interventions on intelligence for reasons that I would state. And that I am making efforts within a short period when I'm there, well, short, but it was 6 months, that we want to optimize. We want to optimize in terms of resources. And this is one way. And when I indicated that let us deactivate the inspectorate, nobody asked me why it was 3 o'clock when I did it, or why it was 10 o'clock. We did it. We discussed, we took that decision at the time that we did. So to me, 31st was neither here nor there, and was not indicative of any sinister move or anything on my side. And the immediate that you spoke about in this context, to me, it was, as I explained, that this was not an immediate in the context of a drill. That is why there was an envisage, even written down, that will prepare an interim committee, an interim report. And it further said there will then be a MINESCO to discuss this matter.
But Minister, with respect, that's not what the letter says. That there's some interim response that's required. Your letter states clearly that the team must be disestablished immediately. Now,
in the context that I've explained.
Unless there's some other meaning to this word, immediately.
Yes,
So
I've
the
explained.
English meaning of immediately means do it right now.
Senate Council,
Let's look at the letter.
yeah, but let me explain this, because I'm here to respond.
Yes, but I would also want to contextualize what
Okay.
I'm asking you.
Thank you.
If I get an opportunity. You write to the National Commissioner and you say, I trust this correspondent finds you well in the festive season. In the past few months, towards the end of this year, 2024, I have made observations on a number of important aspects of the SAPS and policing. For purposes of this letter, I'm focusing on 3 aspects that require very urgent attention to address some of the challenges at hand. Filling of posts in the intelligence division. All processes to fill vacant posts in the division should be halted immediately. And this also applies to posts currently vacant at head office. This should be until substantive discussions between the Minister and the National Commissioner takes place sometime early in the year. Ports of entry. It is common cause that all South African ports of entry are managed by Border Management Authority, with SAPS playing a vital role in the same space, which cannot be overemphasized. In line with this role, SAP personnel impact and efficiency should be reviewed from time to time. In terms of Section 2072, direct that you develop a new plan in this regard to the next ministry, to the next MANECO, Minister Management Executive Committee meeting later in January. And I'm skipping that part because that part the National Commissioner had no problem with. He says this is fine. That's to develop a plan and you want to discuss it, have the plan ready. But then in relation to the political task team, you say in 2019, a directive was made to the National Commissioner of Police following the Morani Commission report, even though not flowing directly from such that an inter-ministerial task team be established. Now we know that do you accept that now that you know the background, that's factually incorrect? It's not in 2019.
Yes, 2018. That was
and it's also not following the Morani report, but it follows a political instruction from the president.
Yes.
Sorry. So that line, that's actually incorrect.
Yes, that's okay. Although I do say not directly from the Morana Commission. Because the Morana Commission, whatever the case, it was discussed even earlier. 2018 discussions, not the report itself. But I concede that point, that it was...
and then you go on to say the key mandate was to stop. So it's not quite clear. Are you referencing the Morani Commission report or the Inter-Ministerial Task Force that was established? The key mandate, you say, was to stop / investigate / resolve unresolved murders of politicians in the country, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. Then you say, my observation in this regard, as indicated above, is that further existence of this team is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. Now, if we pause there, if those are two reasons, it's no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. That's not one of the reasons that you've given, that you spend quite a bit of time elaborating and expanding on. But these are the only two reasons that you give in this letter. It's no longer required because it's no longer, and it's also not adding any value to policing in South Africa. And then you say, I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. Further, that a preliminary report in this regard be submitted to the Minister by the 20th of January. The final and closing report, not as you testified, Minister. It's not a provisional report. It's not a preliminary report. You say the final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. Now, I put it to you with respect, Minister, that if one reads this letter, it's very clear. You say, disestablish, discontinue this task team immediately, do it now. And the final report I'm expecting from you at the end of January. But I want a preliminary report on the 20th of January and the final report at this MANECO Management Executive Committee meeting late January. The instructions are clear. It's not only clear, but it also seems to me, upon reflection, totally unreasonable that you give the National Commissioner, who's on leave, you said you knew he was on leave until the 14th of January, that you must give you a preliminary report by the 20th and a final report by the end of January. Your comments.
Thank you, Evidence Leader. Now, I have explained, as I will do again, the word immediately. Now, it didn't mean, Senior Counsel, that, for instance, anybody driving the car must then stop and leave the car and go home because the political killings task team has now been closed. It didn't mean that. It didn't mean that if you're pursuing any case, because closing a case is something else, and as you see, it's not there. It didn't mean that. It didn't mean that. Stop the car where you are. Drop the key, go home. Because
But Minister, why didn't you write? You said your decision, your directive. We'll still discuss it, although I'm not here to discuss the law or draw legal conclusions.
yes,
But clearly what you've read and what we've also received when we asked, we sent an information note to your legal team. We've been given the reasons that you think it's lawful and it's constitutional. So I don't want to debate that. But you say you held the honest belief that is in the best interest of the South African Police Service that this team be disestablished. You also said what you meant in this directive is not that, like a car, you must stop it immediately and get out of the car and leave it in the middle of the road. This is dangerous to do that. At least pull it off. At least pull it off the road and put on your hazards or something and show, there's some car in the road and to avoid the car. Now, why did you not write this letter in that kind of language when you knew that the National Commission is on leave until the 14th? And say to him, for example, there's, even though it's New Year's Eve, there are 3 matters that I would love to discuss with you urgently or very urgently upon your return. And these are the 3 matters. Or could you give me a report on these 3 matters or 1 matter by 20 January and by the end of January? But that's not the tone of the letter. I put it to you, Minister, that this letter and the tone of the letter, the language used in the letter, is in direct contrast to what you are telling us today, that you held this honest belief that this team must be closed and it must be disestablished, and that you had the power to do so. That doesn't come out of the letter when one reads the plain language of the letter and the record that we've heard in this inquiry, and which you, I think, fairly have acknowledged that the task team, when they were in operation, they did a good job. They did what they were required to do.
so can I respond?
Yeah.
Senior Counsel, you are respectfully talking about various matters. Let me address the one that you addressed later of the tone. There's a different matter of the tone. I share your feeling that the tone was strong.
The tone was strong.
The tone was strong.
Or wrong?
Pardon?
You share my view that the tone was strong or wrong?
It does seem,
both.
it does seem what you're expressing to me is your personal concern that the tone was rather strong. I have no problem with that. I agree that it may have been a strong tone, to a point where what you are suggesting that it could have said this and this same thing, but on a softer tone. It could have happened. I have no problem with that. Senior Counsel.
In fact, may I add on to that?
But
I think
may,
the tone
may I
is-
respond?
Yes, but
Yeah, so that I don't forget.
Given a full opportunity, let me just add this. I think the tone is actually quite disturbing, especially when you talk about filling posts in the intelligence division, especially now that we know the issues. Let's just call them neutrally issues with intelligence, and it's at the heart of this whole inquiry. And you say the filling of posts must be halted immediately, even vacant posts must be halted immediately. And I think you mentioned in your evidence that you, into the new year, that's why you wrote it on the 31st.
Yes, that
Into
will-
the new year, you wanted to give us, the public, some kind of confidence that these issues are being addressed.
The way Senior Counsel is putting it in terms, it's like there was a panel with people lined up for interviews, and then I say, stop. It wasn't like that, Senior Counsel. There was no lineup of people to be interviewed at night on the 31st. So it wasn't a question of saying stop. It didn't say on the date or while you are driving on the car, stop the car and get out. What I'm saying, I share with you, which happens ordinarily in any conversation, anytime, in ordinary life, that you talk to somebody and then you see, somebody would say to you, hey, you were rather strong-toned. That happens in everyday life experience. It's an everyday life experience. I know you were soft and nice. It's part of life. Now here, I admit that the tone was strong. But I also similarly want to agree that, want to indicate to you that on the 21st of November, I had convened a meeting, National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioners and Provincial Commissioners, and said, the murder rate in the country is concerning. So you call a meeting, you express that, you are Minister of Police. You say the escalation of drug distribution and the destruction that comes with that. I'm very concerned to a point where I don't sleep well. You go on to say there are too many firearms killing too many people, especially illegal firearms. You are deeply concerned and you are addressing this issue live. Now, on the 31st, you write a letter. You are stuck, completely focused on these matters that you believe strongly and honestly, that are a concern to people out there. Even on the 31st, people are worried about issues on border management, even on the 31st. Not all of us who have met and go and bribe on the 31st.
Not even sure that people want to be worried on the 31st of December with anything.
Yes, I'm now addressing, because in sharing your concern, I also want the House to be alive on what concerns people outside. I may have been concerned about National Commissioner being on leave. I may have been concerned about the tone. But in this instance, it doesn't mean that the tone was unlawful. It doesn't mean that the act itself was unlawful. I wrote these directives. I accept that I may have chosen a softer tone on this, but it was no insult to anyone. I knew National Commissioner is on leave, send the letter to acting National Commissioner.
When did you entertain or begin to entertain these thoughts that you need to address these issues and that
it was
sounds to you, to me like this is in the public interest that these issues must be addressed. When did you start entertaining these thoughts? When did you start scribbling down? Because you say you drafted this letter yourself.
it's a cumulative issue that I'd been aware long before I became Minister of Police, that there is a grievance out there, outside ourselves as cabinet, outside ourselves as MPs, about how porous our borders are. I even called a meeting for that. I even called the CEO of AXA to come and brief us about what's happening at OR Airport in terms of security, tight security at the airports. I may as well jump a little bit and say 2 weeks before General Mkhwanazi went to a press briefing, I had called the meeting of the National Commissioner and Crime Intelligence to come and make a presentation to me about drugs in South Africa, about firearms in South Africa. I've got documents here. And that meeting, that presentation was done to me. It took more than 2 hours.
But you never discussed the political killings task team in that meeting.
But
You never discussed the political killings task team in that meeting.
in that meeting, no,
Despite
we
the fact
discussed
that-
drugs
Yeah.
and firearms, which are killing people outside. So I had said in November, I am deeply worried about these 2 matters. Now, it's now 31st. And I then write the letter about issues that I believed were deeply concerning, not just to me. Now, I couldn't, in my choice, be worried more about that it was the 31st than the impact of these matters that I was talking about to our work. I couldn't.
I mean, you received
Senior Counsel,
sorry,
may we take the hand of Honorable Malema?
Not, thanks, Chair. I'm not hearing, and I want to understand about this immediately. Is there immediately in the draft that you send to the Chief of Staff, who sent it to your advisor? If you're to give us the draft, not the final version of the letter, will we find a word which will now accept that it was strong? Will we find immediate in the draft letter?
Yes, immediately was written by me. Both in the draft that was checked by Advocate Piccoli and in the final draft. But as I've explained, in the context where you say, I need a preliminary report by a date after the 20th or something like that of January. So common sense tells you that the person who was writing this immediate was envisaging that the immediate doesn't mean stonewalling just there. You are driving the car, I've taken a decision. You are under arrest, get out. Because this car belongs to the task team. A decision has been taken. No, it merely was, the decision has been taken immediately, but preliminary report in some future. But then the meeting of UNESCO in another future. Now, if you are in the executive and you are worried, you have to show your true colors and show seriousness on what you are conveying. I'm not saying be harsh. I'm not saying have a strong tone. But the issues that I had identified were of serious worry to me, even on the 31st. And I want to believe that I wasn't alone. I was with other people in South Africa. I was expressing their views. And I believe that it was lawful and there was nothing wrong with it. But if you say the tone was strong, yes, the tone may have been strong.
Sorry, Honorable Chair.
But not as if there was something illegal about it, not as if there was something unlawful about it. Ukuzwelana nje ukuthi yayingabekeka ngeindlela incwadi singazwelana lapho sikhalisana ngiyavuma ukuthi hayi ngayibeka yathi ba strong kodwa hayi ukuthi
Extra strong.
not that it was unlawful, not that it was
No,
unconstitutional.
she's saying it's unlawful or,
Yes.
you know, whether you use strong language or light language, it's either lawful or unlawful. So,
Yes. Thank you.
And I,
Honorable Chair, is
how much?
has Honorable Malema been
Yeah.
responded to?
I got a signal that he's satisfied. I want to check with you, how much more time do you still need?
Well,
I can allocate you 4 hours more.
I think we had earlier agreed, Honorable Chair, that we will stop at 6
Okay.
and resume tomorrow morning.
So you want to stop?
If we could adjourn and resume, I think the minister.
Do you really want to
it's a
stop
long day.
now?
Honorable Chair.
Do you really want to stop now?
I've got a number of questions. But I think since we set aside tomorrow, let's resume.
When I ask you this question and look at the honorable members. So, Senior Counsel, I think if you feel that you want us to stop, we have to stop. Unless if honorable members have a different view. Let me take Honorable Malema, Honorable Skosana, Honorable Nomval.
No, thanks, Chair. I was saying to the evidence leader that if he wants to go on, he must go on. Because tomorrow, in as much as we want to allocate him more time to ask questions, remember what you said, that we've got different commitments, some of us, and we may want, if he agrees that perhaps tomorrow we'll finish at a reasonable time so that we can get sufficient time to attend to other political matters. Because during the week, we allocate this time for this, and then during weekend, we serve our constituencies. So the other one must not suffer because of the other one. Thanks.
Honorable Nombalo.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, Chair. In fact, I want to persuade the evidence leader, but obviously, depending on the strength of the witness, that we proceed so that tomorrow we finish early. Because many members, we don't want to experience what we experienced last week. I think only 4 of us were left here, 4 or 5. So don't want to experience that. So if we can continue, even if we continue until 10 o'clock, for as long as he covers the large part of his examination, then we come and leave what is out, and finish what will be outstanding tomorrow, Chair. It's my persuasion to him, but obviously we must consider the feelings of the witness.
Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted a clarity from the minister, because earlier I don't understand when you said the National Co-Commissioner.
The question is not what we are dealing with now.
Oh, you're talking about time?
Yeah.
For 10 o'clock is fine, Chair.
Okay, we will come to that later. Honorable Sangoes.
Chairperson, let's not act like disorganized people. This matter was canvassed in terms of time. It was agreed that today and tomorrow the evidence leader would lead testimony of Minister Mahon. There was an agreement that the stop time today would be 6 o'clock, and then tomorrow it would be 2 o'clock. which I believe provides sufficient time from the evidence leader to be able to raise any other questions that he wants to raise. Now, if we have not managed to organize ourselves and our programs, it can't be a problem of the ad hoc committee as a whole. And I think that those decisions that we had made in terms of how we're going to manage these proceedings, we should retain, Chairperson, please. Thank you.
Tomorrow, if we start at 7. No, listen, honorable members, I'm telling you what is happening tomorrow. Okay. If we start at 11 tomorrow, we are finishing at 3. If we start at 10, we finish at 2. If we start at 9, we finish at 1. If we start at 8, we finish at 12. If we start at 7, we finish at 11. So I want us to start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And then we will be done by 2 o'clock. So I think the senior counsel, in the manner that he has arranged his work today, was to be done at this time at 6 o'clock. So you can see the documents are voluminous, and we may need to give them time to rest, including I can see the minister is still raring to go, but we will have to end it here. Honorable Skosana, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted a clarity from the minister because I could not really comprehend what he was saying when he said the National Commissioner, when they were talking about Molefe, that he was briefed by the Commissioner regarding Brian Molefe, which I think is wrong, including when he said it's a relative of Brian Molefe who was arrested, because Brian is not related to that Molefe we are talking about. This reflective of the quality. You know,
yeah, no, let's not debate.
No, I'm not debating, Chair. Can you give me a chance?
Yeah, let's ask the question.
Yes, I'm not finished with the question. Because these are the issues where misinformation and ineptitude as well, which makes people to be tainted. So I wanted clarity on that. Why the National Commissioner was saying the guy who's arrested is related to Brian Molefe, because he knows Honorable Molefe, as he said himself. Thank you, Chair.
Point of
Chair,
order.
can you please protect the witness? This is not a clarity-seeking question. Today, we're still on clarity-seeking questions, and I want to advise Honorable Skosan that the gentleman sitting in front of him is Minister Mthun. So if he wants to know why the general said that, he may want to ask General Masemolo. But the point that I'm making is that this is not a clarity-seeking question, Chair. It's a debate. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the question is not a clarity-seeking question. Unless you have a clarity-seeking question that you want to restate, I give you the opportunity to restate it.
Let me repeat again. I'm not going to change because Honorable Sangoni said so. I'm not going to do that. The minister can answer for himself. He doesn't need any assistance. This issue of closing ranks, we know that he's a minister, and I just wanted to find out because I could not hear him well. Let the minister answer for himself, please.
Honorable Skosan, it's not what Honorable Sangoni is saying. It's what the chairperson is saying. The chairperson is giving you an opportunity to put a question for clarity to the witness. What is the question for clarity?
The clarity is simple. I said to the minister, he must just explain, clarify for us why Brian Molefe. Because he's a Molefe. It was that the National Commission, because the National Commission never said so to us. It's the minister who said so. So when someone said I must ask the National Commissioner, it's unfair, Jay.
Why Mr. Brown Molefe? What is the question about Mr. Brown Molefe?
But Chair,
I've been repeating myself.
Let's allow the honorable member to put a question for clarity to the witness.
Chair, Minister, can you please clarify the issue of Brian Morife? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I assume that it was just an error when the National Commissioner mentioned, and then when the arrest, got into news, it was another. And he had not struggled when I called to say, yeah, but it seems, he says, no, it's correct, that this information is correct. So he may have just made an ordinary error, not because he meant anything.
I'm waiting for you, Chair.
I'm looking at yourselves. Your hands are
No, Chair.
There is no intention to speak from your mouth.
Let me tell you what.
It's like you are flamos.
Listen to me, Chair. What I'm going to do next time, I'm just going to speak. Because for me, I'm following you. When you give me an opportunity, I will speak.
He has responded. You seem paralyzed. Because
No, I'm not paralyzed.
you're raising a hand.
No, I'm not paralyzed. I'm not easily intimidated by anybody, by the chair himself and the minister himself. Not intimidated at all.
Honorable Skosana, is your hand up?
No, my hand was not up.
Okay.
You know, I was waiting for you to ask me whether I'm satisfied or not.
Must I allow you to speak if your hand is not up?
No. As I'm saying to you, it's you who's sharing, it's not me.
Okay.
So you must ask me like you ask anyone. Are you satisfied?
Honorable member, are you satisfied with the response?
Yeah, I'm happy because the minister say it's a mistake, it's an error.
Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable Domval. I'm Honorable Shongwe. I'm sorry.
Makatali, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
No, Chair, silungisa. On a serious note, Chair. Uminister ngicabanga ukuthi uphazamisekile ekhuluma. Kwavela ngathi uthi uGeneral umtshela ukuthi kuzoboshwa uBrian Molife oseParliament. Now when you listen to that video again, akayilungisanga even eqeda, ends up by saying no, it was not him, it was his brother. So it looks as if that person who was being arrested is not Brian Molife, but it was the brother. So we wanted clarity on that ukuthi Brian Molife akangeni indawo lapha akazenza lutho lapha. So usecacisile nje, siyabonga kakhulu.
You are saying that it's a matter which must be put on record that the person is not Honorable Brian Molife.
And akahlobani naye futhi and akusu brother wakhe.
You heard that, Minister?
Yes, very clear.
Can we put it on record?
Yes, I'm saying that we had a conversation with the National Commissioner, and I picked up that he's speaking about Brian Molife. But when the arrest got into news, it appeared that it was another Molife, and I phoned to say, I thought you were saying, but I see something else. And then National Commission said, yeah, no, it was an error. So I assumed that was the end of the story.
Ushota the brother part, Minister. Ngena loud and not his brother.
Not whose brother.
You end up when you finish your statement, you said, no, it was not him. It was his brother or relative or something like that.
Yeah.
So one clarity, it was not. Agako related to that person Oboshiw.
No, we didn't go that far.
Okay.
You went that far.
Yeah, no, we have come to...
It was not Honorable Brian Molife. It was another Molife. Yeah.
Okay, honorable members, may I request that you stop speaking so that the meeting can end. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of today's proceedings. 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Thank you. Tolbet Mokona.
have a